All right, we are live. So let's refresh those pages. I don't know what's going on with my YouTube.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just coming up as blank at the moment. Oh,
yeah,
It's
it is.
live.
oh, that's it.
All right, so we got 5 watching, 5 in the chat for us. Thanks for coming out. We got a little. I'm still working out some of the kinks, but I have figured a few things out here and there from the first to the second show. And joining this week, none other than my good old buddy, old pal. Since, geez, how many years have we known each other, Colt?
4 or 5 years, maybe. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah, 2017, something like
Yeah.
that. Anyways, Colt is joining us. How you been, Colt? We're going to talk about one of your tweets here later on in the show. So let's try not to start on that. But how else have you been?
No, I've been really good. I haven't run out of anything to play, so I'm on like my last couple of games that would kind of keep me entertained this year. And then by the time I get those wrapped up, this big showcase will be going on. So yeah, it should be good. It's been crazy, but it'll be good.
How do you line up games like that? I'll say like, oh, I'm going to complete this game, and like I can never do it in a certain time frame, like ever. I always fail that.
Oh, I always
let us know your secret.
Dealer talked me into going back and playing Control, the Ultimate Edition that's made for Series X, so it's better. It runs better. And so I almost finished it on Xbox One, so now I'm kind of starting over. And he's like, you really got to get into it. Because we didn't really like it when it first came out. And now I'm kind of like, okay, so we're giving it a fair shot. Then I've been playing MLB The Show. I grew up on baseball, so I like that one a lot more than I did last year. So I've just been doing that. I don't know. When I sit down to game or I get in a party chat, I kind of have my games that I'm just kind of crank through, and that's what I do.
Are you primarily a single-player game or a multiplayer game?
Yeah, mostly single player or co-op. I don't do a lot of competitive multiplayer stuff anymore. I just haven't really been into
Grounded a lot with your son. You play that?
Oh yeah, my kids and I play Grounded like crazy, and that is the greatest experience. They're in the other room. We're all on our headsets, and we have so much fun. And we argue. It's great.
I haven't played it since like the last, I don't know, there's been like 3 major updates since last time I played it. But I remember when I played it, I remember when the game first came out, it would like take forever to load if you had a big base. Do you remember before they hit that patch?
Yeah.
Once I waited 40 minutes, I just had something to do. I went and did it, came back 40 minutes. It was still loading. It was unreal. But yeah,
there wasn't much to do in the beginning.
Court.
Oh, you made a basketball court?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there wasn't much to do when it first came out, and I didn't like the game at all. I played it with a couple people, and then I talked to a good friend, Assassin Lupa, who was like way into it, and she was explaining all this stuff you do. I'm like, really? You can do all that? She's like, yeah, you have to do this first, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I told my kids, we talked about it, and they're like, let's do it. We've had such a good time. In the beginning, if you died, if a spider got you, you would drop all of your gear and your weapon, and you would come back with just your character in a t-shirt and jeans with no way to protect yourself. You had to go get your gear, and it sucked. I'm like, it's like the Dark Souls of Dark Souls. Yeah. So, but it's way better. It's way better. I love it.
Is it just like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, basically? Or because I've never played it. I want to, but I've never tried it.
It's a really great RPG. There's tiered creatures, and there's tiered armor and tiered weapons, and you earn if you need to chop, you get the first chopping tool, and then you can't chop this other stuff until you get tier 2 chopping, and you can't get a tier 2 chopping axe until you take down a tier 2 bug. It's really great in-depth RPG. It's got perks and all the type. It's great. I'll bore the heck out of you if I talk about it, but it is really good.
I actually got 2 questions about that game. Number 1, and most importantly, do you think this game is going to be more like Sea of Thieves, where initially there was nothing to do and it's just going to grow into its own? And the question number 2, can you play this as a single player thing, or do you need multiplayer? Because people don't like playing with me because they don't like me. I'm not a popular person. So.
Stop. Yes, you can play the game by yourself. You can even load it up in mild mode where it's easier for one person, because the game can get really brutally difficult.
Well, I did not say I want it easier. Just because I'm 47 years old and take Geritol on a day-to-day basis doesn't mean I need it any easier. Now, come on.
On the same level, you get it on Wolfenstein with the dummy in your mouth.
I mean, if you're going to play it by yourself, you would want to play it on mild because you're outnumbered. You don't have someone to revive you. You can't self-revive. If you're downed by a bug, you have to hold the button to give up or wait for the countdown, and then you respawn. So you need it's a team player game, and there's no PvE, so it's not like Sea of Thieves where the meat of the game was to go kill other people and take down their ships. Like, this is a experience where you're like, you've been shrunk, you don't know why you're shrunk, and then something tells you go check out these weird labs that are like shrunk down in this backyard. It's way better than people realize, and I think it got like a 60 meta or something in preview. Why in the world they gave a preview game a score, I have no idea, but I expect this game to surprise and delight a lot of people, and I don't want to talk about it anymore because you guys can be bored. I love the game. What can I say? It's great.
So have
it's
you
really
ever
good.
run across like the oversized dildo yet? Like, everything else is regular size, so I guess a dildo would be oversized.
All right, well, so there's Wise Old Gamer, my one of my channel members. When I say what's up there, everyone.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Chad? I've been having fun, living my life. Last few weeks of school, so the shit's hit the fan. It's become a cluster. Everyone's trying to get their grades in. So yeah, just been busy and farting up a storm because that's the only gas I can afford these days. So
I always throw like a 2-week thing. Like, you could turn it for 2 weeks, and then after that point, that's it. I'm not taking it anymore. That's you've had a chance and a half.
I'm actually hoping that I fail a couple of kids so that their mamas can call me and, maybe we can talk about extra credit. Anyhow.
Everyone told me about extra credit. All right. Darren, say what's up to everyone, man. What you been doing
Hi,
this
what's
week?
up, chat? How are you all doing? I've been, funny enough, talking about a game in Game Pass. I've been sailing the seven seas with a couple of other streamers. The Pirates game. I've had absolute great fun with that game. I was first to say, no, I don't like it. I'm not ever going to attempt that one. No, don't want it. And a couple of gamers said, come on, get on here. And oh my God, I ended up streaming for about 4 hours and 45 minutes. And it was the best time of my life. I absolutely loved it.
I really want to play Sea of Thieves with you because
oh man, it's worth it. I poo-pooed it. I totally didn't want to know.
Because can't you imagine playing with him and him talking and envisioning like Johnny Depp saying the same things because he has the same accent like Johnny Depp?
Don't get me started on that. I actually attempted to do
I'll
the
be
Jack
your Amber
Sparrow
Heard.
bit,
How about that?
and I crashed the game. I crashed the actual game. We went to do the Jack Sparrow, me and these other couple of players, and I actually crashed the game. It would not load the Jack Sparrow. I went to go through they said, steer the ship through that green bit. I said, all right. So I went to steer it, and the game crashed. We sort of like obliterated through it. We sort of went towards it, and then we vanished. We crashed the game. So we had to restart that night.
Okay.
I don't know how that happened, but it just crashed.
Mm-hmm.
So were you just like kind of like driving around, kind of like free, free?
Let's just say, someone said to me, "Can you steer the ship?" I said, "Yeah, okay." I steered the ship, and it ended up on the rocks and never moved for about 20 minutes, half an hour after. So I had to restart again.
Got to work together with your crew. My family doesn't like to play with me because I'm like a true tyrant. I'm like a true pirate captain, and I like throw out, scurvy dogs, like you suck, get on the deck, So.
Titan and I have like an epic memory when the game first came. We were playing it in early access. Remember that 2 weeks when it came out, when everyone jumped on it? And I feel like that 2 weeks was better than when the game released. It was so amazing. Bro, we had so much fun, but Titan and I were drinking in the game. Like, we were just tilting mugs or whatever you call them over and over. And he goes, Colt, let me see if I can get into the cannon and you can shoot me while I'm drunk. And we were laughing so hard. I remember back in that day, I got hurt really bad. I was taking Tylenol and Advil because I was really hurt, but we were having so much fun that Titan was killing me. I was laughing so hard, my back hurt. And he goes, I'm going to get in the cannon and you shoot me out while I'm drunk. And so he gets in the cannon and his face is all like green in the game. And I go over to light it and his character goes and barfed out of the cannon with his face sticking out. And I got a screenshot I shared on Twitter that time of just his green face barfing out the front of a cannon. We laughed so hard. You can't replicate that kind of fun.
That game sounds like a drinking game as well, like a real-life drinking game as well.
I must admit, I was inebriated when I was playing that game. They said, I'll have a few drinks, make it fun, make it fun.
Absolutely.
Any game is good when you drink with it, right? Any game is good.
Absolutely.
Even Cyberpunk. No comment.
All right, real quick shout out. Doggy Dog, thanks for joining us, buddy. What is going on? We also got Luis Jimenez, Crazy Greek Dude. What's going on? Mr. Amber Turd, Stubbs Gaming. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you. Oh, my right nut is itchy. It's is itchy this week. It's IE itchy this week. So I don't know. Maybe he got a little better. Wise. He took some of your advice from last week. It was 2 weeks ago.
Well, I don't know about itchy anymore because last time mine was itchy was because of crabs. That's when I realized I had a shellfish allergy. No comment. I'm sorry.
What?
I can't say anything much.
Yeah, but problem is though, if your left nut's itchy, the right one's going to be itchy with it. You've got two, so it's got to be a pair.
Nope.
All right,
so my nut's itchy. I know it's going to rain. Now I can predict the weather.
Nope.
You hear that, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. All right, so our first topic this week, as we're 16 minutes into the show, it's good. You got to catch up with Colteastwood, though. I don't get. It's not every day we hang out and whatnot. So
I'm sort of off my game because Colt's on, because I'm sort of starstruck right about now.
Yeah, I am as well. I'm just like all nervous for some reason. I don't know.
I'm not nervous. I just won't be able to masturbate like I normally do on the show.
I am. I'm like I'm the best podcaster ever because I did my show on Monday. Thursday, Gaz and I did an impromptu Starfield's Been Delayed podcast. And then Saturday, I was on Go Live because Randall Thor couldn't make it when his internet went out. And then immediately after, I did back-to-back with Xbox Era for 3 hours. And here I am. So I'm like, I haven't left this chair. It's been great.
Oh, my God. I don't want to. I don't want to know what that chair smells like. That's all I gotta say. I don't want to know what that chair smells like.
Oh God,
that's good.
Silence number 2.
All right, so our first topic of the week is from WindowsCentral.com. Microsoft may soon let you create your own dynamic background themes on Windows and consoles. So a few questions to you all, and we'll start with Darren on this one. So if you could create your own dynamic background theme for your Xbox, kind of, where would you go with that? Where would you like to go with that?
I'd like to have a pirate Sea of Thieves background, a personal one, with like you can put the actual gamers in the actual background as well. That would suit me down to the ground. But I thought you could do that anyway. If you save your wallpapers and that onto a USB stick and stick it in the Xbox, can't you? Can't you do that? Or
you can create your own theme, and the one thing that you're thinking about is a pirate theme. Come on, man! Like,
oh man, Sea of Thieves is awesome. I love that.
Life is gonna get dirty. Here it comes.
You want me to go? I'm going to make the sex scene from Halo TV my dynamic theme, and I'm going to have it flash finish the fight. That's what I want. You know, I would use Pornhub, but my membership ran out, so I have to refill.
Now, my missus is a Halo fan. She'd go for a Halo background. She absolutely loves it.
All right, so we got Halo, we got Sea of Thieves. I think I would have to make mine something like about Rocky, Like I actually played.
You knock him down now. Why don't you try knocking me down now?
That's right.
If he dies, he dies.
Oh yeah. That's how Titan and I met. He messaged me. I think you DM'd me on Twitter or something and said, "Hey, I said something about your name," and you're like, "Oh, I'm a big Rocky fan," and we started talking about Rocky, and that's how we started talking. So tell me how this dynamic backgrounds editor works. Is this something you can download on PC and then you can send it to your Xbox console?
I don't know the details of it yet.
Okay, I'm looking at this, and it's got like 8 layers, which is not easy to do to make this. I mean, I guess I could do this, But I've done this kind of thing. Like, is this something anybody
Oh
can
my
make?
God.
Wallpaper
How?
Engine is a popular Steam project.
What a Are you just insulting everybody in the chat? I can do this, but fuck you guys. You guys are too stupid to do this.
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and working with multiple layers to like layering stuff, because you got to work with multiple. You got to bring stuff into Photoshop and cut stuff out and transparency and all this crap. But like, is anybody else going to be able to say, "Hey, I'm going to tackle this"? And can you bring it to your console? This is super cool.
Well, I would imagine.
So hot take, everyone. We officially have got word that Colt thinks everyone else is stupid. Thank you.
Get on my level.
Exactly. Get your weight up.
I'm pretty sure most people just do like a
very painful to do. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, but would you be able to download it straight onto the Xbox and do it that way instead of going through the PC? Or do they mean like you've got to download it on the PC and then transfer it over to the Xbox? So I know you can go on the internet through the internet browser on the Xbox, can't you? Is that what they mean?
Well, it says it might be possibly leaked to an Xbox app, an unnamed project. So maybe that there's something where you could tie it in, but only Xbox creates these custom dynamic backgrounds, and they don't do a whole lot. But this could be really cool.
I just will not hold my breath for this stuff, because apparently you can change the LED indicator on your controller on PC or on Steam, and they've yet to bring that natively to the Xbox app. I've been waiting for that. I think there was some time back, in Colt, you can tell me if this is true or not. They said that, that little logo, the Xbox logo on your controller, you could change the color of that logo somehow. I think you could do it on Steam or something. And they've yet to bring that, so.
Somebody hit up Jason Ronald on that colored LED thing, and Jason Ronald said, "Hey, that's a nice find." Like he approved of that concept. But I don't know. It's a weird thing for Xbox to say, "Hey, we're now going to let you change the color of your Nexus button on your controller." For some reason, I think people would go bananas for that. Like, are you serious? Like, make it green, make it blue, make it red. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's what like basically Razer owes their success as a company to the fact that people can change their colors on all their crap, right? So Xbox should be doing this. I mean, like, otherwise Razer is worthless, but otherwise that's the only reason everyone likes that RGB stuff. And it's a no-brainer. If you can do it, why not do it? And you have the functionality to do it, so bring it over, so.
I've got RGB lighting on my computer, on my PC. I've got it on my the chair I game on.
My wife has it on her dildo.
I would imagine the layman people, they're going to just like cut and paste kind of thing. They're not going to like edit pictures like you do, or use any like probably like picture editing software. Like I think that's probably out of most people's skill set or whatever. But it looks like it's just layering on top of layering, and that's really cool. And as far as dynamic things go, I mean,
what I could see, to be honest with you, I could see if they implement this, like a closet case underground community developing where people actually sell these dynamic themes that they make. Like, for example, Colt and his expertise can do it, and for people, and people can pay a fee and get that dynamic theme, So that would be a no-brainer. So Colt, there you go. Just in case this whole YouTube thing,
I'm not clued up on that sort of thing at all.
Yeah, just in case this whole YouTube thing doesn't work out for you. I know you're a relatively young streamer and all. So
it doesn't work out for me anyway. But shout out to Graphic God in the chat, who would be like loving this thing. He can make cool dynamic themes and shop around to fans and people to buy stuff like that. That'd be a cool thing to do, is to create a custom theme. Say, hey, I want this and this, and somebody like Graphic God could build that and say, here's what it costs, and then when it's ready to launch on your Xbox, people love that. They could set up a whole new community service.
It can have its own ecosystem, actually, to be honest with you. So, yeah. So what about you, Titan? What would you do besides Rocky? Come on, tell us something spicy. What would you do? When the missus is asleep, what would you change your background to?
I wouldn't change it. I ain't like you, man.
Hey, see, I have the courage to do it when my wife is seeing it. Hey, see, I have the courage to do it even when my wife is seeing it. So she can take notes.
Yeah, my wife's in the chat, by the way. Colt, I don't know if you. This is my wife, Princess Zelda. There she is.
Hi.
Babe, how's it going?
Your husband's great. He's the best.
You're the best around.
Oh, classic.
Maybe something. I wonder if you can add like music to it. That'd be kind of cool. Some sound clips to add onto those layers.
Yeah, like the PlayStation has like on the custom themes that come with games. Like I had the Days Gone one. It had like this little musical thing that was kind of rolling in the background. But I think the PS5 does not have dynamic themes yet. I'm not sure.
And see, that
Xbox
doesn't make any
barely
sense to me.
Well, they got a whole new dash, so everything's not quite up and ready to rock yet. But oh yeah, hit the like button, I should say, for Titan's new show. Is this week 2 or 3?
You ever think this is week 2? Do you ever think you'd be saying that on my show? I didn't think so.
Well, eventually, yeah. But yeah, hit the like button. We've got 16 people checking out the show. We got a lot of. I can see a lot of names that I see everywhere. These are good people. Yeah. Yeah, hit the like button.
He's doing well despite me being on the show. That's amazing.
So, quick question for either Titan or Colt, right? In a few,
what about
in a
me?
little while,
What am I?
you just said you wasn't intelligent enough to deal with all this sort of thing. If someone like me, small streamer, right, wanted to do overlays and etc., who would I go to? You know, who in your own eyes?
Who would you go to have them make them for you?
Not right away. In a few months' time or something. You know, who to speak to?
Sean the Bree, Graphic God. I might mess around with it, but I haven't created stuff for people in a long time because I got so busy. Graphic knows what it's like. He's made like 400 pictures for people, I think. I don't know. There's Sean the Bree and Diego and Graphic God are some of the more prominent guys in the community that create amazing stuff. And I've talked to a couple other people that are getting going, but you'll have plenty of people there to choose from when the time comes.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Excellent. So let's move on to our next topic because I would either, a long time ago, if you asked me that, I would say Colt because Colt made my first avatar. So, but then he had to go and blow up on us. So, I guess his artistic talent had to take a back step.
Yeah, the community is amazing. I had so many people reaching out to me to do profile pics, and like Graphic God had done so many, and I had started to do some, and then I kind of got to the point where I'm like, man, I don't even have time to work on videos. Sometimes I would sit down to work on a logo, and I'm like, I want to be able to play some games too. Well, there's still games, but it's been good. I made like 50 or so profile pics in 2017, 2018, and I said, okay, I think I'm going to take a break for a while.
Well, you see, Xbox is helping you out this year. It's giving you plenty of times because it's not releasing any games.
Yeah.
We'll talk. That's our meeting.
We're going to talk about that because Xbox actually has more games than their competition, but
I
it's
know.
just the type of games.
I just want to fuck with folks. That's all I want to do.
Definitely talk about that, but let's get this other smaller topic out of the way. From NintendoLife.com says
it's not the size of the topic; it's how you use it.
The Switch controller that promises no drifting. I don't know if you guys have seen this one yet, but you look at the picture; it looks just like an Xbox controller.
See, I don't see why people are worried about stick drift. None of my controllers have stick drift. In fact, all my controllers just get sticky all the time. So I have the opposite problem. But that's for another reason.
I want to know. I want you guys to answer me. How can Nintendo, out of all the people, promise no stick drift when they're one of the worst offenders of this? Wise, let's go with you first.
Well, considering they're not making any consoles, they have nothing else to do with their hardware division besides make a better controller, I guess, right? So they're not making any more hardware because their hardware is from 2013, 2014. So what are you going to do to the people who are sitting there making hardware? Just tell them to make a better controller. That's what I think. Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, Nintendo has always had pretty good controllers. This is really like the first generation I remember Nintendo having such problems with their controllers. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Wii U because nobody had a chance to see if they could get stick drift because there was no games on the bloody machine. So nobody bought it. So nobody knew. But I remember with the Wii generation and with the N64 and the GameCube, the Wavebird to this day, to me, is still one of the best controllers out there. I just like the weight and just everything about that controller. So I'm just wondering what changed between then and now that has caused them to have all of these issues. And yeah, because I mean, I've always liked the controllers and they've never had any problems. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I've never had any problems with mine either, but I think me and you are kind of we're kind of lucky on this whole thing because I've seen a lot of people complain about the stick drift on their Switches and whatnot. Thing is, we don't use ours a ton, so I guess it just depends how much you use it. Darren, have you ever had any stick drift issues with any of your Nintendo? Do you even have a Switch or anything?
No, I haven't got a Switch. I've always wanted to get one, but what I find confusing is they've had stick drift. How can you promise to sell something that's never going to have stick drift for problems? How? You can't.
Exactly. I feel like whoever was hired for this is kind of like robbing or stealing from Xbox because, like, hey, Wise kind of said he's like, they're kind of using all their R&D to improve their controller because they're not doing anything with the new console right now. So,
well, I mean, that's how it works.
Or when they're literally just cut and pasting.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, how can you specifically say in advertising no stick drift whatsoever? So you mean to say they sell that for about $40, $50, $60 or pounds over here? Oh, within a few weeks, someone that's got it gets stick drift. And, hold on a minute, you promised me no stick drift. What's going to happen? You're going to have people wanting all their money back.
But, when you talk about stick drift, there's something weird going on this generation when it comes to the controllers. Maybe the people who they're manufacturing through. I think all these companies are manufacturing through the same person or same company that makes it. Because tell me if I'm wrong about this, but I remember like PlayStation 5's controllers are having stick drift issues. Even the Steam Deck had stick drift issues. So it's not a Nintendo thing. And I mean, I'm just wondering why it's such a big issue, especially this generation, than it was in prior generations. Because you never heard about it like as I'm not saying it wasn't an issue back in the day, but I don't remember hearing as big of a deal as it is now back in the 360 or the Xbox One / PS4 generation.
Well, let me stop you there because go back another generation because I think the worst stick drift offender ever was Nintendo, and I think that was the Nintendo 64. I can't tell you how many, and like it would get like you'd play that with the 64.
Well, I mean,
that stick would fall off.
No, but okay, so I
went through about 3 or 4 different controllers with that.
But but I can give them a pass for the N64 days because they were like really the first company to make that type of have like those little D sticks. Before that, nobody was doing it. I mean, it was Nintendo with the N64 that made that controller, and that's what sort of pushed PlayStation to add their DualShock stuff and all that stuff. So, yeah, I can give it to them because they were probably back in those days trying to work out the kinks. But after that, I don't remember it being an issue up till this generation, if memory serves me correctly, which has not served me correctly in years, but yeah. And here's a question. Is stick drift only an issue with the Joy-Cons or is it also with the Pro Controller? Does anyone know?
I have a different take. Titan was saying that, the copying so-and-so's copying, like that's what's good. Like when a controller has a rock solid design or something works way better, the competition should be saying, reverse engineer that, we need to do that or do it better. And here's my hot take about stick drift. I think there are a certain type of gamer that may experience their stick drift on their thumbsticks more often than others. When I first got the Xbox One, I had, I think 2 in a row, my console's controllers, the stick would drift. So I'd be walking and my character would just look up. And it drove me crazy. But I also remember back when the Xbox One came out, my kids were younger and would routinely walk by and knock my controllers off the couch onto the floor. And now that they're older, like my controllers never fall off. I don't hit them. There's people that spike their controllers. There's people that don't abuse their stuff, but they push harder than anybody else does. That they have by habit, they put more force on their controllers. And so there's people that see stick drift, but then they've also backed it up with research that the Nintendo Switch sticks were, prone to failing to where they would drift. So
what's that? The parts they're using.
There was the report about the PS5, the DualSense 5 having stick drift problems when it first came out. I haven't heard anybody talk about it since. So I just wonder if we're seeing like this subset of group that may abuse or are a little harder, play a little harder on their controllers, or accidentally drop them way too much. I don't know.
I would
Everybody
love
owns the parts they're using as well.
I would love to see the breakdown of that controller, because all D-pad, all controllers with sticks like that, they have the same input essentially. Like if you, remove the top cover, it's like basically a membrane that attaches to the actual stick, and that as you move the stick, the membrane moves up and down, and that's how it registers their movement. So I'm wondering, what are they doing differently that's causing that? I mean, it would be fine. I mean, hopefully Spawnwave or somebody does a breakdown or something, and they can see how they could fix something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's got to be something in those controllers, because I don't think I've ever seen a PlayStation controller stick drift.
No, but there was. I was saying, and I said earlier that they were having problems with stick drift for the PS5, and I don't know if that was a software issue or was it an actual hardware issue. So I don't know.
Would it be the parts they use?
Mike, my buddy I play Smite with, he always slams his buttons. Like I can hear him through his headset when he does his thing, man. He's like smashing buttons on a keyboard. It's like, man, it's a controller, man. Like, I want to know if he's ever heard me. Like, no matter how hype I am, I may yell a lot and I may scream a lot, but I'm not screaming over my button presses.
Do you ever like hold X to revive or whatever when it's a really important face button in a game? I feel like I'm pushing the X through the controller sometimes. Like the harder I push it, the faster that wheel's gonna fill up. Oh man, I got enough controllers here, but I treat them pretty good. I haven't had one that drifted in a while.
Or you could do what I do with the controllers and never have to worry about stick drift ever again.
Darren, how about you? When was the last time you had stick drift? And
it was only with the N64. I've never had one with the PlayStation all the way through the PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't got PlayStation 5, so I can't comment about that. But Xbox, I've had all the Xboxes up to date from the original, and I've had no stick drift whatsoever. So I'm just wondering whether it's down to the parts, and as Colt said, it's where people are dropping them or misusing them. Basically, could be a combination of both.
Another thing that would be fascinating to figure out is it certain games or people who play certain games that tend to lend themselves to stick drift? Like if you're a fighter or enthusiast, or if you are like a FPS enthusiast, or because of the way you use your controller, does it lend itself just by wear and tear to stick drift versus like me, who's predominantly like a third person over the shoulder, that type of player? So that would be kind of fascinating to figure out too. So yeah.
I would imagine fighters use their sticks quite violently.
Some of the videos will like show like the repair videos, because like I know a lot of people have made fix your own Xbox controller stick drift videos, this and that, and there's all kinds of different fixes out there. But there's like a certain level, an acceptable level during production, that the sticks can actually drift or whatever. It's supposed to stay within this certain parameter. And I know when my son got his, I think it was his Slim, when he got his Xbox One X Slim, that white controller, it started stick drifting like a week after he got it. So I think that was just a production issue. Like my kids take care of their stuff pretty good. So I think I've seen it all. I've seen the wear and tear. I've seen the buttons like we're smashing. Maybe I hear other people smashing too hard or whatever. And so I've seen it all. But I'm really interested to see exactly, kind of like Darren said, what would they do if it does stick drift? Are you going to get a free one? How are they gonna hold true to their word on that? Or is it actually going to be a legitimate upgrade, and maybe like a PlayStation controller, because it looks like an Xbox controller, but if it's got PlayStation thumbsticks, I'd be all right with that. Moving on, let's get on to our main topic of the night, and it is none other than the kind of dreaded. I remember when I heard this news, I immediately just became in a bad mood. It was a sunny day out, and all of a
I think
sudden,
I sent you the DM for that tweet, right, from Bethesda.
yes. Yeah, so Bethesda made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. Colt, let's let you start to jump on this as you rage over there silently.
I have to tackle this strategery. It's
and we may have to wrestle back and forth. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I've been talking about this for quite a while, and I'm a strong believer in you say your piece, you make a complaint, and you move on. But this is the discussion that I expect to happen for the next week, and then I think people should pretty much come to an acceptance of what's going on, and then look at what's happening in the future and start talking about solutions. So, basically, Xbox has not been able to release a new IP for the most part from their first party studios in about 4 or 5 years since Sea of Thieves and State of Decay came out. So Sea of Thieves was their last big IP. And basically Xbox game studios have been creating games for the PlayStation and for everybody else under contractual obligations. I've covered that for a long time. But the whole point was this fall, it was going to be over. It would be nothing but Xbox exclusives every quarter for the rest of the generation and for the foreseeable future for Xbox. That was the whole. I mean, the roadmap is there. They've shown us the games. They've talked about what's coming, and then there are 15 more projects that Xbox rumored to work on that sound very plausible from big outlets like Windows Central and Just Corden have talked about these things they've seen. So there's all these games. So it's just like you're just waiting for them to start, and you were going to break the levee with Redfall and Starfield. And I'll end my statement by saying it sucks that we have to wait another year. But I am also equally, as frustrated as I am equally powerful in the statement that thank goodness that Phil, Sarah, and Todd Howard said we don't want this to become Halo Infinite. Starfield has to come out angelic and amazing and incredible and at its full potential. And if that means that we tell them that they're not getting the game this year, but next year, I think they made the best decision. It just sucks we've waited this long. And let me add one more thing. That Xbox fans, like we've talked about exclusives ad nauseum, and exclusives don't always sell the most. They're not always the big mover of consoles. Some of the biggest movers of consoles can be something like Fortnite, or Call of Duty or FIFA or Madden, right? So, but the problem with everybody else has had their exclusive, their unique games, and Xbox fans have been waiting. But not only that, Xbox's exclusives in the pipeline look really amazing. So the wait is even more difficult. That's what's going on. I think that's why people are frustrated. And I completely see both sides. So good luck arguing with me and go.
So I got some questions I need to ask you all, but I'll ask you guys after we get Darren and Wise Old Gamer's opinion on this. Real quick, shout out to the chat before we get to Darren. Sean in the chat, welcome, buddy. We got Graphic God still with us. Crispy Bomb, welcome, brother. And all right, so Darren, you're up, buddy. Let's see you swing for the fences.
Now, I promised another streamer. We argued backwards and forwards. Stubbs Gaming, he was in the chat earlier. He was adamant that this was going to be delayed, and I kept saying no. Todd Howard said this date is set in stone. It's coming, and I argued backwards and forwards for the last few months. And as soon as this announcement was made, I looked at my phone. I thought, oh shit! And yeah, I got the flack. And then, of course, looked on Twitter, and all the trolls were coming out. Oh, Todd Howard the Duck or something. Todd Howard was being called, and he must look silly with his egg on his face now. But the way I see it, yes, it's a delay. But if the game was not properly finished or not up to scratch, yes, delay it by all means. Make it a better game, please. I didn't know nothing about it. I wanted this game so badly. I think you did as well, Titan, to be honest. I remember you saying a few weeks ago about it as well. You wanted it. But,
sure.
no. But on the plus side, I don't know whether Colt would agree with this. I personally think Xbox knew this was coming about 3 or 4 months ago. They knew this delay was going to come, and they wanted to announce it, because just imagine if they announced it at the showcase, oh, sorry, this game's delayed. How bad would that look for Xbox? So I think personally they knew the game was going to be delayed 3 or 4 months ago, and I think they've got a few, 2 or 3 possibly big announcements at the showcase as a replacement.
Well, yeah, they definitely didn't want to come to that showcase with some negative publicity, right?
How bad publicity would that look? They announced it and then literally 24, 48, oh shit, we've got to delay this. I'm very sorry. You know, how bad would that look on Xbox? But I honestly believe they've got 2 or 3 big announcements coming at the showcase. Something that oh my God, where did that one come from? Oh shit, I didn't know nothing about this. It's going to be a major shock, I think. I think Microsoft.
Aaron, if I had my counter working, I'm going to get this counter system working, because the way I want this podcast to go, I don't know if you guys remember a sports show called Around the Horn. It's going to run eventually like that, but I gotta get my Stream Deck working out, and we're selling the house, and we just bought a house, so we just got employed down in Georgia, so things have been absolutely insane over here. But I'm going to be adding things to the stream, basically weekly, bi-weekly, whenever I can. So, Darren, I would give you a ton of points for bringing that up, because I didn't even think about that yet. I didn't even think about, yeah, they got to let this cat out of the bag before their big show. And that was an excellent point. Wise, what do you got to say about this?
Okay, so let me go ahead and say the politically correct thing first. Yes, we should give the developers as much time as they need. Yes, little Timmy, take as much time as you need. Make sure every question on that test is correct. Now, all that shit aside. Okay, say you go to a restaurant. Okay, you're sitting there and you ask them, okay, what's the specials for tonight? And they're like, oh, yeah, we have a prime rib glazed with a beurre blanc sauce, blah, blah, blah. And he goes on and on for like 5 freaking minutes telling you how great that freaking steak is. And you're like, yeah, let me get that. He goes back, oh, we're out. Then you're like, okay, what else you got? Oh, we got a fish. It's grilled. They're like, okay, I'll take that. We don't have it. I am pissed about the whole talk that Todd Howard was doing. Okay, you know this game is not ready. Why are you having like open forums with your developers talking about how you're going to like flesh out people's backgrounds and this and that and all this shit? And you know this game is not coming out this year. Why are you doing all this crap? You know, what is the point? I think I'm being led astray. Now, am I a strict PlayStation fan? No, I'm not. However, let's take the scorecard. Since the PS5 has come out, we've got Miles Morales, say what you will, if it's a DLC or whatever. You have Demon Souls. You have Horizon Forbidden West. You have, what was that other game that came out? Ratchet and Clank. You had Returnal. All these games. What have we gotten from Xbox since the console has come out? And unfortunately, the only thing we've really gotten is Halo and Forza. And again, the only thing we might
and Gears
Flight Simulator.
But this is the thing that frustrates me. I can't take it any fucking more. You know, stop telling me all this bullshit. I can't play an acquisition. I can't do any of that shit. Give me a game. Stop telling me how good your goddamn steak is, and then every time I order the goddamn thing, it's sold out. Give me something I can play. That's all I want.
See, when things like this happen, these emotions come out of us gamers, don't they? And like, and it's crazy to look at everyone and how those emotions come out, because they come out of everyone in different ways. Some people rage. Some people, very few can like take a step back and kind of like look at the whole scenario and try to piece things together as they're happening. But But yeah, like I definitely felt a little bit of that rage this time. I don't know exactly why. I think it was because my biggest issue is that they gave us a specific release date.
Right.
11/11/22, right? That's one of my main pet peeves. And I tweeted this out. I said, if you're going to give a specific release date, you better be 100% sure. If you're saying it's going to come out on this date, you better have 100% probability that is going to happen. Because when you do that, this is the reaction you're going to get every time. You gave us a date. If you don't know that it's going to come out on that date, just give it a window. Winter 2022 or something, late 2022, something like that.
Name one game that has a solid release date besides Starfield. In the past recent history, what game has had a solid release date? I think Starfield seems like the only one that said this month, this day, this year. Maybe Cyberpunk and
Well,
yeah, I hear you. I feel you, bro.
Cyberpunk went gold, and then they took that away, so that was even worse.
But it's not even the date. You're
We
sitting
see
there.
all kinds of crazy delays.
It's not the date. You're showing me concept art of planets. You're showing me the freaking robot. You're telling me about different structures you're putting in there. Why are you talking about a game that's not even coming out? What's the point of all this?
Just a quick question. Was Starfield meant to be on the Xbox One?
I don't know.
Yes.
Was what?
It was. Maybe
On
they
the
could.
Xbox One.
Maybe they delayed it because they couldn't get the actual game to run on the Xbox One the way they
No.
wanted it.
Starfield's next generation only.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's oh right. Okay. I thought
Oh
it was
yeah,
Xbox One as well.
absolutely. In fact, that's not really what's happened with Starfield. Is my speculation, my educated guess. I think what happened was the team has been internalizing whether everything was ready, and Todd Howard was very confident to the fact that most people keyed into what was going on with Bethesda and Starfield. Were very confident. Most everybody was confident that this game was released in November of this year. So what happens is the team was ready. They felt like they were ready. And then they sat down a month ago to create a vertical slice, deep dive gameplay trailer reveal for the game showcase. And they started to run into this doesn't work right. This doesn't look right. This could look better. This is going to get made fun of. We got to fix that. And they're trying to fix it. And then as they go back to the teams, they're like, okay, hey, when the character brings his gun up, his elbow does this weird thing and the textures are flashing. We don't know why. Oh, we'll talk to our programmers, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff goes on. What they realized, they got to the point where they said, I think we're going to have to iron some of this stuff out. I don't think it's going to be ready. And even worse, I think Bethesda team said, what we're trying to get ready for the showcase is going to be hammered by this community that is now laser focused, completely educated via Digital Foundry and other tech analysis, YouTube channels and other sites. Like no longer can we sit back and go, hey, that looks pretty fun. Now everybody is keyed in. And Bethesda was smart to say, I think we're running into a situation where we need to fix this. And when we look at our roadmap for the next several months of polishing phase, we now need to get in some solution and fix time into the pipeline. And so the Bethesda team was like, I really don't want to tell Todd and the leadership that we need to delay. This is a big thing to tell them. Let's make sure that we don't need to delay it. And I think they got into the situation where they said, we got to make the call, bring Todd in. When Phil gets here, we're going to show him and he can make the final choice. And I think Todd and Phil said, this is my speculation. They looked at it and they're like, you know what? You're right. It's not worth it. We just got hammered for 2 years straight on Halo Infinite showing and the release incomplete without polish. It's not worth it. We can't afford to take that kind of hit. The game needs to be stupendous. And so they decided to cancel it and get the news out so people could get over it, so we can get on our shows, vent our frustration, tell Xbox what we want, and then they can kind of fold that into the game showcase. Show what they need to for Starfield, get some messaging and planning and ready for 2022. Here's the other thing that's going to happen. Sarah Bond and Phil Spencer know that they promised their platform, the consoles, their games on PC and Game Pass, they promised us a certain amount of games in a roadmap. And if you're paying for Game Pass every month, they promised them a certain value proposition. And one of the value propositions was 2 major AAA games coming at the end of the year in Redfall and Starfield. And those are no longer on the table, and they would expect their customers to continue paying every month. So right now, Phil and Sarah Bond have to be looking to mitigate it. Whether I complain on my platform or Titan complains with his platform, Randolph Thor was telling me this yesterday. He gave me a really good speech. Rand gives me the best speeches on the phone. He says, Colt, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how many people on Twitter in the echo chamber complain about what happens to the Xbox. They don't care. It's up to their best interest to mitigate this problem. They don't need the fans to tell them. They already know. So he says they are going to be looking at a way to solve this deficit. And I think it means they need to be looking at whatever AAA game is available coming in the next few months and get it on Game Pass ASAP within 2022. More than what they've already said they were going to do. They have to mitigate the loss of at least Starfield, if not Starfield and Redfall.
I got a question.
I would imagine at least a couple games coming, like you said. Let me know what you think about this, because after you said that, my initial thought is because EA titles have been coming, their sports titles have been coming, but they've been coming like 6 months after the fact. So what I'm leaning towards is like NFL, the Madden 2023 or whatever it is, which hasn't even been announced, which is kind of crazy. Usually we hear something about their upgrades or their updates by now. Usually that comes out around the draft. The draft is come and gone. They're doing rookie mini camps and stuff. So they're a little bit behind on letting the public know what's going to happen with their next Madden game. So I think that would be a good reach for Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond to say, hey, EA, we dropped the ball over here. We're going to give you some extra money. Kick this out on Xbox day and date or whatever. What do you think?
Go ahead.
No, I was actually, I don't think that's what they need to do. That's, I think, what they have to do, right? Because right now it's been pretty quiet from Xbox. It's basically a rinse and repeat of last year, right? We didn't really hear anything coming out major for Game Pass besides some indies and stuff until the tail end of the year when we got back to back to back. I think it started with Psychonauts 2. It was Psychonauts 2 and then Forza and then Halo. And that's what it was this year was going to be. But now we're looking at there's absolutely nothing. So they still got to feed this beast that's Game Pass. And you got to have games. And yeah, indie games are great. I'm looking forward to that little 8-bit game that looks pretty. I forgot the name of that 8-bit game that they showed on the last year's stream. Anyhow, I'm looking forward to it. But and I'm looking forward to Somerville. But those games do not move the needle when it comes to Game Pass subscription numbers. And that's what we know that Microsoft is pretty much looking at. So they have to do this. They have really no recourse but to do this.
This would be crazy. What if they said for the months of November and December, any game, any indie game or anything that releases during the months of November, December, maybe just 1 month, because that could potentially be a lot of games. But wouldn't that be crazy cool if they just said whatever game comes out this month is gonna be day and date on Game Pass? That I think that would mitigate this damage.
I've got something better for you at the showcase, right?
What if it's
three
only
major
indies?
announcements?
I don't know.
3 major announcements I think will be made. One, something the Gears fans have been crying for, and myself, Marcus Phoenix collection being announced at the showcase. And 2, to make up for this slight mishap and the delay, I've got a funny feeling because I watched one of Dealer's videos a few months ago where he was interviewing Turn 10 Motorsports team, and one of the developers said, "We'll see you in November." Now, people can put 2 and 2 of that together and think, "Oh, hello, November release." But I actually think to make up for this delay of Starfield, I reckon Xbox is going to announce Motorsport beta straight after the showcase. Jump in. And possibly Gotham Knights. I think that's going to be announced as a Game Pass game pretty soon now. That's my take on the showcase and possibly ways of they can make up for this slight disappointment.
Well, Titan, you were saying that November, December, if it's all just indies, will that really make a difference when it comes to Game Pass subscriber numbers? Even if they got like every
what I'm saying is whatever game releases that month would be day to day, and that's gotta be a ton of games. So that would be just a different way, just in case they can't make any of these AAA third-party deals, or there's they don't think there's a quality enough title that can kind of replace these two. That would just be another crazy avenue that would like shock and awe gamers. That's what I think.
Well, I'll say this, with the purchase of all of those developers from Square Enix by Embracer Group has gone on record and said, we are still interested in making, exclusive deals with platform holders. And it was kind of interesting. They just said that and put it out there because you would never hear a company just outwardly say, oh yeah, we're interested in, exclusive deals with platform holders. And they said that, and then boom, this happened. I would say that maybe Xbox is talking to Embracer Group and saying, you know what, Gotham Knight, whatever, please, we want it, we'll pay you whatever. So I think that's a legitimate thing actually with Gotham Knight, So
I think Gotham Knights is
Cypher in the chat says think we'll see Evil Within 3 from Tango in the showcase. Colt, what do you think?
I heard Evil Within 3. I was thinking something else. I don't know. I haven't heard about that being in the works. They just launched Ghostwire Tokyo on PlayStation, so I would think they would be getting just started on that. But I was going to say the Gotham Knights thing, it's kind of the only AAA multiplat coming that Xbox could possibly get their hands on with that PlayStation doesn't have their fingernails dug into. Like Hogwarts Legacy and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 are big multiplats. I think there's one more game I'm not thinking of that's coming that PlayStation kind of has the dibs on, where Xbox probably couldn't strike a Game Pass deal.
Forspoken, but that's Square Enix. That's basically PlayStation. Anyway,
yeah, that's PlayStation exclusive.
Right,
but there was some other multiplat that was coming this year. I don't remember, but
that's
they really need to go after.
But isn't there also rumors of a new Wolfenstein coming out? I've been hearing that for like 2 years now, that there's a new Wolfenstein in development, and they've yet to announce a Wolfenstein. And normally the way Bethesda works is they usually announce a game and 3 months later it comes. Starfield was really the first time that they've announced a game in a while that's a year or so out. So maybe a Wolfenstein? Do you think that's also possible?
I would need to look up when Wolfenstein Colossus was announced. Let me see if I can find it. I've been hearing about Wolfenstein 3 for a couple years too.
Legacy. When is this? When is Hogwarts Legacy supposed to release? Because
I thought that was next year.
A lot of hype behind that.
Yeah, they
game.
put it back to next year, didn't they?
I thought it was February of next year or something. I could be wrong. I mean, it's happened before.
Well, they could make that announcement, I guess. And
yeah, you're right. They announced Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, at Bethesda's E3 showcase in June, and then released it by November, I think it was.
Yeah.
Came out right about the time the Xbox One X came out. I played it at launch, October 27th. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. I waited to play it. That's very, very, very plausible. But
also
they're also working on Indiana Jones, and I wonder if they're ready for Colossus or for Wolfenstein 3, but they also want to show something besides panning across the desk for Indiana Jones. Oh boy,
what about
all the complaining could be for nothing, Titan. All this like where's the games could be for nothing if Wolfenstein was ready for this year and is exclusive to Xbox.
But what also you got?
And I keep hearing.
I've heard about.
Give me 1 second,
well. Go ahead.
Well, Stalker is indefinitely delayed.
No, but I heard they moved it stateside. The post
December, isn't it? December this year, I think. Stalker.
But I heard, with the whole thing with going to Ukraine, they moved the development down to somewhere in the 48 states. So that's also plausible.
That's never going to happen this December. I think you can bury that coming out this year.
No, that game was tight.
I lost my train of thought. What were you saying, Colt? What was that last thing you said? Because
he was talking about Wolfenstein.
I don't know. I can't remember. I think I was saying that about Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Indiana Jones could be showed as well. I don't know. Oh, I was saying that this whole one freaking out this week about losing 2 exclusives could be replaced by 1 or 2 games that we don't know that are coming. One of them may be Forza Motorsport. Another one may be that Gears collection, but that doesn't alleviate my complaint that I got absolutely harassed over when I said they've only given us Halo, Gears, and Forza since late 2018. So if they end up guaranteeing us Forza Motorsport and Gears collection, which if you're an Xbox console owner, you already own the entire Gears collection at its full fidelity, pretty much. And I'll explain why. If you have an Xbox One X or a Series X or Series S, you've got Gears Ultimate Enhance. You've got Gears 2 with the Hochi method in back compat at 4K 30. You've got Gears 3 at 4K 30 via the same method. You've got Gears 4 at dynamic 4K or dynamic 4K 60. And you've got Gears 5 at dynamic 4K 60. So why do you need a Gears collection? And it's all on Game Pass. So I'm sorry. I raised my voice. I apologize. You know, I've been having a
strike
you
one.
Know what I mean? But if Wolfenstein New Colossus comes, and then I think they have one more surprise that they want to show at the event that's exclusive, that'll also release before New Year's Day, right? So that could be a big deal. There could be 2 plus a Forza and Gears, and then 1 or 2 more exclusives. And then we're like, oh, man, we were really freaking out. But I guess in the end, we just wanted to play Starfield as soon as we could, as long as it's ready.
How far out is Contraband?
Pretty much is it? What'd you say, Wise?
It could be Contraband. Contraband could be ready. I don't know how good Contraband is going to be. Avalanche has made some really awesome stuff. They did amazing with Rage 2, even though Rage 2 didn't score super well. I loved Rage 2. Just Cause 4 and 3 were Just Cause 2 is amazing. So I'm a little iffy about how great Avalanche will be, but this set in the 70s, Payday in third person, where you drive around, you get out and you do heists. It's got the 70s music and the 70s clothes, 70s references. Man, that could be really special. And that could be one of those games like, why aren't you guys playing Contraband? This is amazing. So
Colt, you're hinting towards it, and I've heard about it a lot. I keep hearing about, this game's coming out supposedly unannounced. And I don't want to follow that, because like if they're going to like shadow drop some supposed fantastic unannounced game, I don't think it's gonna be a game like Contraband or anything of that nature. Otherwise, why would they not build this?
We're not supposed to know this stuff, Titan. We're not somebody like me or you or anybody else on Twitter thinks that they're super insiders. There's no way we're supposed to know. Like, these secrets are kept so importantly close, because this is Xbox's big moment on June 12th to say, bam, this is what we got, or bang, here it is, right? And this is super important. And to let that stuff leak out is a huge disappointment. So if they have something like Contraband, or even, this is going to blow your minds, what if Hellblade 2 was actually ready for like a December release?
I would lose
it. What if? And it's not even that far out of the realm of possibility. Of course, anybody can sit back and go, yeah, that game's not ready, but maybe it is. And maybe, like, here's the funny thing. It feels like we need to, Phil and Todd are like, we need to delay Starfield. It's not ready. It's got to come out its best. And then we're like, oh crap, that's a big game. And like, yeah, I know, but look, we're all looking at the showcase. We're going to have this to show and this to show, and that's going to come in around the time of Starfield. And maybe they're sitting back going, oh, they're going to be mad. There's going to be an outcry. We're just going to have to write it out, because when we show them the release, they're going to be like, oh, geez, I didn't see that coming. And Xbox has all the ammo. They've got all these games in the works, and you're wondering, where are they? Why aren't they here yet? Maybe some of them aren't here yet because they're this close to announcing when they're going to release, and they're waiting for the big moment. They're not going to do what PlayStation does, just put it on a blog post and tweet it out. Xbox is going to go and show them on the screen. And hey, I like that.
Here's the thing, that this might be unwavering faith, and it might be just me being blindsided or anything. I really believe that who Xbox has running the show right now, Phil Spencer, he knows why the Xbox One failed. And it was basically there was nothing on the platform. It was crickets. And they got this stigma that Xbox has no games. And he knows that he can't have 2 years back to back of a new generation where it's been crickets as well. So if he's delayed this game, my gut feeling tells me that he must have something else there, because otherwise, I mean, he knows how to run a platform, right? He has done more for Xbox in the past 2 to 3 years since his helm started than any other, I would say, than any other CEO has done up to this point. And I'm hoping that he had the foresight to say, okay, we can delay this game and we'll still be good. Will it be as good as having Starfield out there and having Redfall out there? No, but we do have a backup plan. And that's what I'm hoping. And again, it could be blind faith, but I think he knows how to run a company. So that's my only faith that I have right now.
I'm sure they got a backup plan, but I'm sure that, like what Colt said earlier, kind of makes sense when he said Sarah Bond, is putting this plan together with some type of extra third-party deal. They wouldn't be doing that if they were going to release one of these other, Contraband or whatever. People make these predictions, and people are kind of going crazy with them. Colt's going crazy with on my damn show. And I pride myself on making accurate predictions and using common sense, because to me, this doesn't make sense. Coming out with Contraband with one freaking trailer, that doesn't make sense to me. Shadow dropping a huge game doesn't make sense to me. Why would they, especially what are they just holding this on to it's kind of are they holding on to these games just in case one of their big AAA bangers has a delay and then they can drop it? I don't think so. I don't think, Darren, what do you think, man? Because I don't think they got these backup games just waiting to drop.
No, it's like I said, I think Motorsport is going to be announced in the beta, but I did read, it wasn't on Twitter, I think it was on a fairly well-known internet computer site. Respawn, is it Respawn that done the Jedi Fallen Knight game?
Well, yeah, Respawn. It was Respawn.
Apparently, the person that runs it done an interview or was talking to someone, and apparently they reckon that second Jedi game could be ready by December. They reckon.
But I don't know how true that is. Are they going to make that an exclusive?
I think it's called Jedi Order Survival, something like that.
Yeah, Jedi Knight Survivor.
Yeah, that's it.
Something like that. Jedi.
They reckon it's going to be done ready for December, so that could be one.
But how willing are they going to make that an exclusive on the Xbox platform? That's the question.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the thing. I mean, it's not the fact that the game's coming out. We got games coming out. It's not. We're looking for exclusives. That's the main thing. I got a question. How much pressure does this announcement put on their showcase in June? I was thinking
the most.
More than there was. Real quick, John 907. I'm going to do you a favor right here. I'm going to bring the comment back to sense right now, because Colt gave his spiel about why Starfield got delayed, and he kind of brushed it, but he didn't hit on the specific part, because I know why Starfield got delayed. Are you ready for this bombshell drop here?
Do it.
It's been out in the news. It's nothing too crazy, but the reason why Starfield is getting delayed is because of the flight. There's been I've seen 3 different sources that have said they were not happy with the flight mechanic. I've heard them say it says they're not happy with
that guy who was
flying is not fun.
So do you think that a tweet that man that was an ex-Bethesda employee made had any bearing on all this? Is that what you're trying to imply?
That was just one. So that kind of threw up the idea, right?
I think that kickstarted it all.
And that's a pretty good source, if you ask me. But besides that, I've seen, I think, 2 or 3 other sources as well pretty much confirm the same thing. And they're not in that same circle. So when I'm seeing the same excuse or the same reason for why Bethesda is not happy, because I have heard that Bethesda was happy about how the graphics have come along in the last year. So they're not going to delay it for graphical improvements. They're happy with the progress they've made. They are nailing down this flying mechanic because guess what? This freaking game takes place in space, right? You're going to be flying some good amount of time, and if that flying is miserable, people are not going to like your game. That is delay worthy. That is like, my God, we have got to fix this, because that's going to take longer than just a few months. They got to go back in the code. They got to change some coding. That's a lot of coding issues. That's the reason for this delay. 100%. Anyone want to jump in after I just dropped that on you?
I think the biggest thing that upsets me about the whole situation, that I said before, was that I don't know anything about Redfall, right? It looks like, it sort of does look like a game that looks like State of Decay, but with vampires. It may not be that game. I think that somebody said it's more akin to Borderlands than it is State of Decay, but we don't know anything about the game, right? Whereas Starfield, they've been talking and talking and talking and talking. And now, usually when a developer talks this much, they're pretty much ready to drop the game. But now they've been talking all this stuff, and then they delay the game. That sort of is what upsets me. It's like, okay, what was going on? And if you knew this game was going to be delayed, why talk so much? Why are you starting the PR for this game when you knew very well this game was not coming out? Now, the guy did say not only was the flight bad, but the engine was terrible as well. Like, it was buggy. And people could say about Bethesda's engines have always been kind of buggy. Like, I remember Skyrim coming out sort of half broken, and Oblivion came out half broken, but it was sort of the Bethesda charm, if you will. But I don't know. I think that this is Todd's magnum opus. This is like what he wants to go down for, known for. So I think he wants to make this game perfect, as you said. And if the flight mechanic, something that is that integral to Starfield, is buggy or not fun, then yeah, they have the right to delay it. Again, it's not the fact that they delayed it, it's the fact that they've talked all this much and then they've decided to delay it. And that's what's sort of kind of taken me aback a little bit. But that's just my take on it. So Colt, I want to hear your response to my prediction. It's not even a prediction. That is it. I'm telling you 100%.
Well, so the question really is there merit to what the ex-dev said about the delay, or about the problems with the flight and the combat and the visuals. Yeah, I had Skolzy on my podcast a couple weeks ago. He's a deep diver and sort of an insider about Bethesda stuff. He's done a lot of research into what's going on, and there was a lot of merit to those complaints, but it just kind of ties in with there must be some sort of problem with the development of the game. So yeah, this stuff needs to be fixed, because when you give yourself 6 months or 9 months, I think Starfield is not coming out until late fall of 2023. I don't think it's mid, like they said. I think they're going to show the game in mid 2023, and we're going to get an announcement at the next game showcase that it's coming out that holiday. They're going to give themselves an entire year. And can you fix the flight? Can you make it feel a little bit better? Yeah, but is it going to be a wholesale change? Probably not. Like, this is all based on how the engine works and how the game is going to run and how you'll be able to play it. And these things are already kind of tied in there. So I see this all the time. Oh, it's a beta, or oh, it's an early build. They'll fix it. And they never really fix it the way that we think they do. They don't make a wholesale change. So it doesn't matter. Like, the games are always so good from Bethesda. And sure, they have some buggy problems, but
that's their charm in a way.
No one can actually really get a lie detector test put on them and say, I didn't enjoy a Bethesda game because of the bugs. Like,
right.
It's complaints we have. It's because Bethesda games do more than any other game. They're bigger. They're broader. They're more immersive. They do much more in the engine, like the way you interact with the world. It's great. So after I stop being, frustrated or disappointed about the delay, I'm like, I'm so glad it's going to be a better game, because Xbox does not need to put out another game just to meet a fiscal year hallmark and then try and fix it afterwards. I'm tired of that, and I'm glad they're not doing that anymore.
Do you think they show anything regarding Starfield during the showcase?
They have to. Maybe they were going to do a 12-minute deep dive, but I think at this point they are going to say, let's get together 3 minutes of our best looking footage that we've polished up, that doesn't have any problems, and that we can pour over it and say it's bulletproof. People aren't going to like make fun of this for the next 7 months. And I think they're going to show us a couple of 3 minutes of actual in-engine gameplay. They have to. If they say, hey, we're not ready, we'll show you gameplay next year, it's going to be a major, major L. I don't want that to happen.
Why? What would be the negative of showing it?
Because we waited this long, and most games, Bethesda usually shows the gameplay a few months before they release, and now they've delayed it. But at this point, Xbox fans or gaming fans of Starfield deserve to see something. So as service, they should already showed the in-engine trailer. At this point, they need to show a little bit of gameplay. It's the same thing with Hellblade. We've yet to see that new overhauled combat system. Senua has taken actual physical training from the lead of lightsaber training from the Star Wars series. Mm-hmm. So we need to see that, and we need to see it in Starfield. They can't wait any longer. So they made this decision a couple weeks ago. They need to spend the next month getting a 3-month gameplay segment polished up and ready to show. And I don't think that is asking too much whatsoever. To put together 3 continuous or 3 pieces of gameplay stitched together with some narration, just hire me. I'll do it. Give me a week and I'll produce it.
That's funny you say that, because I have said, it was like, I think it was 2 years ago when the Xbox had it was a pretty bad show at E3. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe 3. Anyways, they had a bad show, and I was like, man, they need to hire someone like Colt or Dealer. They know what looks good to gamers and what doesn't. Like, whoever they had doing that, but they've done much better the last 2 E3s. They were phenomenal. I loved them both. I watched them both multiple times.
Yeah, they're great.
Before that, it was like they had some work to do. Thank God they did that work. But yeah, I'm surprised they're not kind of contacting the community or anything about help with that, or at least say, hey, look over this real quick. How do you think this is going to go over with the general public, with the hardcore, we have because the hardcore is like, well, how many like core players do you think watch these showcases, right? I'm going to argue a couple % maybe, right?
Yeah.
How many core players watch the show? Of course, I think everyone who's watching the show is a core player, isn't it? I don't think any casuals watching the Xbox showcase.
Well, I meant casual. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah.
It's only core players, So yeah, casuals.
Yeah, like I refer to us as hardcore.
Mm-hmm. So what do they show? What do y'all think they're going to show? Like,
it'll probably be what we saw in the trailer before, but about another, as Colt said, probably another minute or 2 minutes added on to make it about 3 minutes long. Only the good bits, obviously, what they've done so far.
But what else do they show besides?
I've heard it's going to be a 90-minute show, roughly. So that's a lot of content. So that's
didn't every developer put something in for the show? I read the other day. Every developer's done something for that particular show.
I have not heard that.
Yeah, they said that.
I've been hearing.
No,
Jeff Gordon said that everyone has submitted something.
That was Rand, and he said he had heard from somebody that wasn't even one of his regular sources, said that all of the Xbox Game Studios teams wanted to show something at the showcase. That doesn't mean they submitted, and that doesn't mean they're ready. But it sounds like, because we talked about earlier in the show, that these Xbox teams all have stuff ready. Like, why aren't they out yet? Because they're so close. That ties back to where all these games are ready to either release or to be showcased. Holy smokes! How many people have to mow their lawn right now?
It's all right. We don't hear it. At least I don't hear it. So
Yeah.
Colt, when you mentioned earlier about a wholesale change about, the flying mechanics and whatnot of Starfield, I agree with you dang near 100%. There's just one counterpoint. And the weird thing is that my counterpoint is also from Bethesda, and that is Fallout 76, because when that game released, it was such trash.
Yeah.
Like, it put me away forever. I don't ever want to go back to that game.
Yeah, I tried. I actually tried to go back to it recently, and I gave it like 3 or 4 hours last week. Nope, It's not for me. People love it, but no, it's. I went back and played Fallout 4 again, and I'm like, wow, I love Fallout 4, but Fallout 4 is so much better than 76. What were they thinking?
Wow.
So, yeah.
Impressive.
So, yeah, I don't know what to, because all I hear is all the things that they've added to that game, and like they've made it such a better game. I wish I should do that. I should bite the bullet, just bite a hand a day or whatever, put a handful of hours and see if I have the same product as you. Wise, Darren, either of you guys play Fallout 76 either at the beginning, end, or anything at all?
No, I stayed away from that game. I didn't want nothing to do with it. Just didn't appeal to me.
Yeah, when I heard it was a cluster, I sort of put it on my back burner and said, okay, when they fix it, then I'll go back to it. But I just never got back to it. So I'm like,
no, is it released in a really bad state? Didn't it? I think Fallout 76. That just put me right off. I thought, no, I'm not having that.
It's just not fun anyway. I don't care how you approach it. It just doesn't feel good. It's just not enjoyable. I don't like the structure of it. It's got some cool things with cards and perks and stuff, but it doesn't make up. When I go back and play Fallout 4 like I did after playing like 5 hours of 76, I'm like, no, this is the magic. Like, this is the magic team. This is the team that's making Starfield. And Skyrim and Fallout 4 and Fallout 3, those are all magic. Fallout 76 is not. And Todd Howard and Pete Hines have pretty much all but apologized for Fallout 76. And Pete Hines even prefaced the announcement saying, I can't remember what the words he used, but he almost said, don't get too excited. This isn't a full game. He said something really nice in PR that meant don't get too excited. This is not a full game. He was preparing because he knew that fans were going to expect something big, but it was really a reskin of Fallout 4, just kind of retooled. And so that comparison to Starfield just doesn't work for me.
Who made that game?
Was in their announcement with Fallout 76 when that game before it came out. I remember them talking about how it was basically a sandbox for a whole mess of people, and you're thrown on the map or whatnot. And they said the backstory, and they said that you could launch a nuke eventually.
Oh yeah,
and you could choose
played like 60 hours or something.
Who actually made that game though?
I've never even seen any gameplay. I haven't searched, but you figure if something like that, you would hear people talk about it, or share their stories about how they set off a nuke, and when no one does so, because if I heard one of you guys say, yeah, man, I went back to it, I shot this nuke, and it was really cool, or something happened, whatever, that might get me back into it.
I still haven't even seen a nuke dropped I've heard the thing where it's like there is a nuke being dropped in your area, leave the area. And I'm out there hanging out, like picking bobby pins off the floor, and nothing ever happens.
Planting flowers and stuff, harvesting.
But who actually made that game, if y'all don't mind me asking? Who actually was the developer for 76?
It was Bethesda Softworks, but it was their one of their other teams, and the I don't want to sound rude, but the core team was working on Starfield during that same time.
Okay.
So people use words like B team, but yeah, I'm sure everybody worked on it because it was a big undertaking and it cost a lot of money and there's a big investment in it, but that investment didn't pay off. But the game's actually, the funny thing is Fallout 76 is slightly successful. It's got a huge, very dedicated community and there's a lot of people on it. But, I'd say the same for Sea of Thieves. There's a huge dedicated community. It's not for me, but, But Starfield's going to have mass appeal. It's going to be the talk of the gaming community for the whole entire season it comes out. It's going to be a big deal.
So
They got to get it right.
We don't even know what Starfield is. Is it going to be like Skyrim, like a single player game,
Yes.
or is it going to?
Yes.
Oh, it is a single player.
It's Todd even admitted that it was more like Skyrim in space. So I would expect what we wanted for the next Elder Scrolls to be like a space opera, a midpoint between the next Elder Scrolls with some parts of Fallout in it. So people who are fans of those two games are going to be blown away. And then there's people, who was I talking to? Oh, Special Nick from Xbox Era doesn't care about Starfield. He's not worried about the delay. He doesn't like those games. He's never wanted to play Skyrim or Fallout, so he's never played them. So he doesn't care, but it's going to be a big earth-shattering game when it launches. So it's got to be done right.
All right, so I'm gonna pose a question to all three of you. We're gonna start with Wise and then work our way down, okay? And my question for everyone, starting with Wise, is who is to blame for this, and is anyone to blame for this delay or whatever you want to call about Red? Because I think, hold on, because I think the delay of Redfall hasn't taken any of us by surprise, really. It's really the more of the Starfield announcement. Like I personally, if you thought Redfall was coming out this year, I think you should lay off of whatever hardcore narcotics or whatever you were on.
Okay. I don't even know what the game is yet. I mean, it just looks like, yeah. Anyhow.
Exactly. So why is supposed to blame for this, or is no one to blame? Is this just kind of like something that happens, or let us know your opinion?
Everyone is saying that this was people actually knew 3 months in advance or whatever that this game is delayed. I really don't think so. They were showing clips of like Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg and all of them at Bethesda Studios hanging out and stuff. I think that they got such a backlash when they showed Halo Infinite in just that raw state that feels like this is our next big major IP. We can't have a shit show with this game like we did with Halo Infinite. We cannot become the laughing stock. We cannot have another Craig moment, and they were looking at it. They were combing over it through a fine-tooth comb, and they were like, you know what? Yeah, it's good. There are aspects that are great about this, but there are things that really need a tweak. And Todd was probably, I think, if you want to say a blame, I think what really happened was it was just like they were all collaborating, saying, look, if we set this out, this is what we're going to be getting. But if we want to do this right and we want to make this the next big platform, like Skyrim was a platform for modders, how much of a delay are we looking at? And Todd was like, okay, well, maybe it will be 6 months or as Colt said, maybe a year. And that's when I think they said, okay, well, yeah, let's just go ahead, do it and do it right. And I know it's going to hurt, but delaying Halo Infinite hurt, but it worked out for the better. So I think this was a decision, honestly, that was not 3 months in the making. I think this was something that was done within the last month or so. So if it was a delay, if it was anyone to blame for this, I hate using the word blame. I would say it's more of a collaborative blame. It was maybe like Microsoft, the PR people looking at it, and just the higher ups of Bethesda saying, do we want to release it in state A, or do we want to take it back, spend a few more months, and release it in a more perfected form? So yeah, that's my take on it.
So someone to blame specifically, or no?
I don't think so. I think it was, if you're going to blame one person, I think you can blame the whole upper management of both Bethesda and Microsoft. So okay. I don't want to pinpoint, say, oh, it's Phil's fault, or oh, it was Todd's fault, or oh, it was Aaron's fault. I don't think.
I think it's impossible. It's impossible to blame leadership. It's the same thing that
what?
I don't think you can't. It's the same thing of us saying that the thing was with Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk came out unfinished because this is different. Cyberpunk was pushed to come out regardless of its state. That is on leadership in the publishers. The publisher arm of CD Projekt Red demanded that the game not be delayed any longer. We're not giving you any more money. You're done. We're putting the game out, and look what happened. the leadership made the choice for Starfield to say, let's give you more time and money to finish the game properly. That's a good leadership decision. And like I said at the very beginning of the show, that if Bethesda had not had the all of the developers, programmers, animators, everybody involved in creating the game, if they had not been telling Phil and Todd and the leadership, because they probably have quarterly updates. So the last quarter, how's things looking for Starfield? Everything's looking good. We're really excited. We're going to get started on the deep dive. We're going to start building that so we can get that ready in the next couple months before you guys get here, so we can get that put in the showcase. Feels like, sweet, sounds good. Everything's good. I'll report to my people and tell them everything's good. That must have been what is happening. So that's what I think is going on. And I know people are like, Phil should be fired, but
whoa.
Whoa.
Should Phil be over there every month making sure that they're should Phil be over there every month making sure that the game is done? No, that's not his job. Should Matt Booty be over there telling them every month, where's the game sitting at? I need to know every problem you're having. Because it sounds like Bethesda's been telling them everything's going great. We're on schedule. We can't wait to start building this deep dive. I've been there. I've done that at work. I said, everything's going great. I'm going to have it by Thursday, close the business. Can't wait to show you. And then when I sit down on Wednesday afternoon, I'm like, why is this not working? Why can't I get this? I can't open up my file. What's going on with this? And then you start freaking out. You get the cold sweats. You're like, I don't want to call my boss and say, I don't think I'm going to make the deadline. Let me make sure I can fix it on my own. I don't know which one Xbox fans want. Do they want Xbox to be hands-on, involved, interfering with everything and critiquing and molding how games go? Because last year they said Xbox can't buy Bethesda because they're going to ruin Bethesda. I just don't know how that is all really supposed to pan out. That's why I say, why are you blaming Phil? Like, you can blame Todd. It's Todd's team. It's Todd's job to know every Monday morning meeting or every whatever they do for checkups, to hear about all the problems and to have his heads of programming and animation or whatever, all of those lead people to say, hey, we need to talk to Todd. We're having problems with this. We could be looking at a delay. I don't think they even said that until a month ago. So who's to blame?
Do you think this was an immediate
Todd's leadership, though? I mean, like you said,
you're right. You're right.
Leadership, but because that's why I'm losing my mind on you, and I'm coming back. I'm firing after Darren.
Okay, here's a question though.
I think it's down to Todd. It's Todd's brainchild. He's been supposed to be wanting to do this for the last 24, 25 years. Yeah. So he's got all this in mind. He knows what he wants done. He wants to know how he knows how the game's set, what's setting, who's doing this, who's doing that in the game. And it's to do with Todd and his underlings. Someone underneath Todd has not actually told him what the fuck is going on.
Yep.
They've been saying, yeah, we're fine. Nothing's wrong. We're fine. Yeah, we can be releasing in November. Yeah, nothing wrong, Todd, nothing wrong. And of course, some poor little bugger has actually gone up to Todd probably a few months ago or a week or two ago and said, sorry, sir, but this game ain't going to be ready. What the fucking
Don't
fuck?
fail me again.
So it looks bad on Todd. And then Todd's got to go to Phil and say, sorry, Phil, I've just been told this game just ain't going to be ready in November. I do apologise. And Phil's probably losing his hair and turning even more grey than what he is already. So, you know what I mean?
I think the game was good enough for Todd. I think Todd was okay with it. I think there was somebody else who said, no, this is not good enough. I think you're wrong. I think that Todd was be.
But I think it's someone that's underneath Todd that's been telling him everything's right. And Todd say, yeah, fine. He's been telling Phil and Sarah, yeah, everything's fine. And then someone's just said, oh, sorry. Someone's plucked up the courage to say, look, you tell him. Bang. And it's all kicked off.
Okay, does everyone remember
that is the one that released Fallout 76 in its stage, right? Like, because to me, you gotta blame the leadership somewhere, some leader or all of them in part or something like that, because he's done it 2 games in a row now. Maybe you're right, Wise. Maybe he was willing to release it in that state, and then someone else came along, whether it be an underling, was like, like this
Because
is a
I
bigger
think it's an echo
problem
chamber.
or someone above him.
I think it's an echo chamber. Like if you're this man has been developing or been eating, drinking, sleeping, thinking about Starfield for now going on 5+ years. He can't see anything beyond Starfield. Okay. So for him, that's all he knows. Sometimes it does take an outsider's perspective to come back and take a hands-off approach and say, oh, okay, yeah, this is not what we want it to be. That famous story between Yoshida and the whole God of War team, right? God of War, they showed, Cory Barlog showed Yoshida the game, and for Cory Barlog, that game was good. It was Yoshida who went in and said, no, this game is not good. I don't like it. So, yeah, I can understand. I mean, is it Todd's fault? Yes, it is. Could be considered Todd's fault. But at the same time, if all you've ever been doing is living in that game, it's hard for you to see your mistakes. Sometimes you need that outsider's perspective, like even in education, we know whenever we write a paper, we don't go, it's hard for us to critique our own paper. That's why we give it to somebody else to read it and say, hey, what did you think? Right. So I think that's what it was. I think literally it was somebody else from Microsoft who looked at this game and said, yeah, you might think it's good, but I don't think so. Not for us, not for what
I agree.
Yeah. So,
yeah, I agree.
But
this topic, this one took a turn for me because I heard Colt say, don't blame leadership. I heard Phil Spencer should be fired.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Way left and one's way right.
Well,
So, I mean, but
it's really tough because I would say
right?
I blame the leadership for 343's problems with Halo.
mm-hmm.
I think they're not letting their developers have their voice, and that's been well documented, that there's no autonomy. These people who are I work in my regular career, I work in a creative environment where we create marketing and outreach materials, and our voice should be listened to by leadership when we're talking about how things should be done or how we should get stuff out to people. And when they don't listen, you don't get the right product. You have to go to your experts. And when with 343, if you've got these people saying, hey, this isn't going to work, we need more time for this, or we should be doing this, and then of course fans get in the way and don't let them change anything, it's a big problem. And you have to wonder where is it. And so I contradict myself when I say 343, it's a leadership problem, but then I say for Bethesda, it's definitely not an Xbox leadership problem, because Xbox is not supposed to be wholly interfering with what Bethesda is doing. They have their own team, their own marketing, their own publishing, and their own development and everything. And they want them to have their culture and do their thing. So it comes down to whoever is working under Todd. And I really feel like at this point that somebody was afraid to show Todd some of their problems. They thought they'd iron them out. And when they went to do the deep dive, that's when they realized, crap, we are in a situation I don't think we can fix in time. And I don't want to make the call. You make the call. No, you make the call. I don't want to call Todd, because we call Todd, Todd calls Phil, and then we all are going to be taking the heat. And it's not the right answer, but I think that happens. It's got to happen. It's got to suck big time. And it's not even up to us as gaming fans to know what's going on in the studio. And like, it's not up just to like sneak in the window and go, I want to hear who's getting yelled at, right? But we're paying.
But that's
we're
what we
invested on this platform.
That's what we all want to do, right?
Right, we're all invested.
Yeah.
I paid good money. I spend like $500, $800. I actually have to do I did my taxes. I spent $800 last year in just games. I spend a lot of money on games, and I was looking forward to Starfield, and it's not ready. But I want that $60 to go for a good game, not one that's unfinished.
Yeah, but who's in charge of all the studios? Is it Matt Booty?
Yes.
But they're hands off with Todd Howard's company, though.
Maybe
hands on with them.
Maybe, I don't know. I would assume that Matt Booty is told, you're in charge of these 15 studios or these 13 or whatever, and maybe he says, hey, do I need to check in on Bethesda? He's like, no, they got their own people. Don't worry about that. Make sure these people are on top of their game.
That's what I
You've
heard.
got enough work to do. And then Titan, maybe you're right. I mean, you're probably right. What the heck is that? We're all probably right. I mean, maybe Xbox needs to say, we need one more person that can also check on Bethesda studios as well. Like, hey, you know, we're all working together and we're all released on the platform. We're going to offer one of our leadership people to come over and help you do check-ins. And then if you need anything, come back and we'll send somebody over for support, because they're going to bring Activision and Blizzard in, and it's going to become even bigger.
Going to be a
thing
hell of a
again.
lot of studios for one man to control. You know, to
Absolutely.
go around and argue.
That's the question I'm having. Do you think that they're kind of bloated a little bit? They've bitten off more than they can chew with all these studios. You know, it's not nice having them, but managing it is a whole different story, right? So, what do y'all think?
Not if you have all the management teams in place, which they do. Yeah,
For me, this is just simply all in the messaging, and they got to learn from this, and they have to learn from this now. All right, because all of this could have been avoided by just giving a date range. This falls completely what I was talking about earlier. When you give a release date, you better be 100% sure. Otherwise, people are going to be up in arms. Your own fan.
But you
fan
can't
boys on the other side are going to make an issue of this and blow it out of proportion. What's up, Wise?
But you can't just fault Microsoft on this regard, or even Bethesda on this regard. I mean, the other side of the camp does it all the time as well. I mean, all three console makers do it all the time as well. They announce a date and then they say, "Oh, okay, it's been delayed." I mean, how many times have Nintendo delayed games? I mean, heck, even Zelda has been delayed now to spring. And then you're talking about like God of War was supposed to come out last year. Now it's coming out this year. We think maybe not.
It's still slated for this year.
It's still slated, but we don't know, you know? So yeah, just because, you know, this is not a Microsoft issue. This is not a Nintendo issue. This is a whole industry-wide issue. I mean, would you rather just not them announce anything? I mean, that's the question. I mean, how would you feel? I mean,
they had to announce this sooner than later, and I think that the time that once they realized that, they're like, all right, well, when are we going to drop this information? Better do it sooner than later. So at least they got that part right. But the thing is, this is wild because, like, I'm going to go back to the blaming leadership thing, because Colt, like, to me, there's a reason there's a captain to the ship, right? And granted, there's a lot of ships to command in the Xbox fleet, but when a mission doesn't get completed, like in the Navy, for example, you know, the seamen aren't the ones that get fired. The captain, the executive officer, and maybe some other high-ranking officers either get demoted or have some type of repercussion. Now, I love Phil Spencer, man. I've always been a proponent of everything he's done. But he's not immune to mistakes. Nobody is. So, in my opinion, this kind of falls on everyone a little bit.
But how is this a mistake?
Be fired? Absolutely not. That's ridiculous.
You keep bringing this up as a mistake. Yeah. How is this a mistake? I don't understand. Like, would you rather them not say anything and just release the game and then be
No. We can't. A lot of people laser focus this down to Starfield being delayed. That's not what Titan's talking about. It's not what I'm talking about. We're talking about Phil came on in 2016. In 2018, they established Xbox Game Studios. They started building games. Like, his job was to make sure that you fill in these gaps and allow the platform to have continuously have content. And it took a while for it to get going. And then there was contractual agreements that really made this exacerbated, because there were all these games that are coming out on PlayStation or as exclusives or multiplats. And so when you're on an Xbox platform, you're like, where are these games that they said they're working on? So the problem that Phil has to fix is what he addressed last year was, our goal is to get you one AAA every quarter and to have, you know, he didn't say number, but it would be 8 to 10 exclusive games every year. I've already put the roadmap out. I looked at all the studios. I built a roadmap. Every game from each studio takes 3 to 5 or 6 years, depending on what they usually do in their cycle. And I built this grid across, like it looked like a Connect 4 thing. Remember that, Titan? The Connect 4 thing? Yeah. And it was filled with all of these green dots where there would be games all the time. But they've yet to reach that point. And what Phil could have been doing, he spent so much money. It's actually funny to think would Satya let him continually to buy more stuff when you're investing a lot of money into Starfield and it gets delayed and feels like we want to spend a little more to fix this deficit? They need to be looking at better integration into Game Pass. So, in fact, when Starfield 2 Stalker 2 got delayed this spring, that was like in January or February when that got, I think it was January, very beginning of the year, we knew we weren't going to have something in the first half of 2022. Phil should have been saying, oh crap, we basically promised our platform on Game Pass and Xbox console, and anybody who wants to play Xbox on PC, we promised them a AAA in the first half of 2022. We can't have it because they got invaded in Ukraine. There's nothing we can do about it, but what we can do is alleviate the problem. And they didn't write a check, and they didn't get a game. They should have money had of what came out in the spring. Couldn't get Elden Ring, but they could have money hatted some Tiny Tina's Wonderlands maybe, but 2K is probably impossible to work with. But anyway, they should have money hatted something big. We have to fix that. So Phil's faltering where we could blame him is he needs to step back and go, we missed a mark on something. How can we fix it now instead of how can we do better in the future? That's how I look at it.
There is problems there. There's okay. I don't know how much about politics you guys follow, but there's this guy or woman in the Senate and in the House called a whip. And what they do is they basically make sure that every person in a particular party votes down a certain party line, and etc. So I do think that Microsoft is in dire need of somebody like that, somebody who can go to some of these studios and see what's going on. Yeah, there is a problem. Maybe
that's what Sarah Bond does. That's her job.
But then, like, how, like, for example, Rare, how do you release a game that this is a pretty game. We developed this game. Okay, what is it about? We don't know. I mean, how do you do that? You know, like every time we hear news from Xbox Studios, it seems to always be like the glass half empty type situation. You know, like for example, they announced Perfect Dark. There's problems with that studio. They're losing people left and right. I know this happens. Then you look at Rare. They have this pretty game. They've announced that they show these graphics. They don't know what the heck the game is. And I mean, they got two studios that they've bought, that they purchased. In Exile and Compulsion, we still don't know what they're releasing. So there are issues with that. And that's what I would say. If I would blame somebody, that's what's the biggest blame. I think that there needs to be more hands-on on those developers. Whereas with this whole situation, I think it's a good thing. I think you can't like blame Microsoft. The only way you can blame Microsoft is if they do not, if June comes and goes and we do not have anything concrete or AAA nature coming out for the later half of this year. And you're right about that, Colt, that they need to do something like that. But yeah, that's my take on it. So
what are you guys' odds that they're going to fill it with a AAA title, you know, fill this gap or whatever with a AAA title? What kind of odds you guys giving this?
I think it's fairly high. Either they're going to try and buy something like Gotham Knights, or, well, like I said in the first hour, they have one, maybe two AAA exclusives coming that are not Gears Ultimate Edition and Forza Motorsport. If they don't, and if they only say, "Hey, we got Gears Master Chief Collection and Forza Motorsport, we're good," then you're going to hear from me again, because
there was another rumor today. Gears of War 2 remaster is supposed to be being announced.
Yeah, I'm sure that rumor just flies into the Gears Marcus Phoenix collection. But if they do that, this is exactly what the Xbox Series S and X console generation is. Gears Tactics at launch, Forza Horizon 5 in the fall, the next year, Halo Infinite, and then Forza Motorsport and Gears Collection. 5 games, Halo, Gears, Forza, Halo, Forza, or whatever. And Gears. I don't know, I can't do it right, but it's Halo, Gears, and Forza over and over for 2 years straight. And guess what? We already did that for a decade. And people got mad at me for making that complaint. I can't win. If I say, "Hey, I'm so excited about the showcase, we're going to show great things," the PlayStation fans are like, "You're just an Xbox shill. You know, you'll love anything Xbox does." And then I say, Halo, Gears, and Forza, come on, we deserve better. Come on, Xbox, step up to the plate and bring
Don't
us
forget
something. Go
Psychonauts
buy
was there.
something. People are like, shut up, Colt. You're making Xbox look bad. That's what I had to deal with all week. I had to deal with it last year when they delayed Halo. And then they said there was going to be no co-op. When I said there was going to be no co-op, no Forge, I said, just delay the game. Let's have it out in 2022 at its best. Xbox needs great optics. I want to play that game at its full. I want to play the campaign. I want to replay the campaign in the opening weeks with Dealer Gaming or with Rand or someone. This is what I want. This is important to me. And they call me selfish. I'm out. I'm just kidding. No, it is tough. And guess what? Okay, I'll say all that, but I hear you. I know the frustration. I know that you have a huge backlog, that there are plenty of games. There's going to be like 6 or 7 smaller games that are already coming, and maybe a couple of surprises from the showcase. The showcase is going to be awesome. What we're hearing behind the scenes from really good sources is that the showcase is really, 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 really good. And maybe Phil's not so worried because he goes, we got to give him this news now because they want to play the game in the fall. But the showcase, they're going to love it. And they're going to be so excited about this fall and moving on forward. And I believe in that. But we can ask for better. And we all have a voice. They're listening as long as we don't swear and get absolutely crazy and make insults.
And
I'm going to take a sip now.
And don't forget, like Halo. I mean, Xbox has always been Halo, Gears, and Forza. That's one thing people have been complaining about. And another thing everyone always complained about is with Xbox is always wait till next year, wait till next E3. And we're getting that same thing this year. When were we going to get the games in 2021? Oh, wait till next year, 2022. 2022, when are we going to get it? Wait till next year, 2023. We got to stop waiting, So
yeah.
I think Gotham Knights is nailed on for Game Pass. No.
But everyone's asking.
Well, here's a big thing too. When Xbox announced all these studio acquisitions, that the fanboys from the other side, which we all have to deal with, especially Colt being the biggest one here, he's getting it from all sides.
He's a closet case pony, isn't
he? The thing is, that they made a big deal, like. As soon as like a few months went by and Xbox didn't release a game, they made it a huge deal because they knew in their heart of hearts, sometime down the line, since Xbox made all these acquisitions, that they're going to be churning out games at some point. So they made it as big of a deal as they could, as early as they could, blew it out of proportion as much as possible because everyone knows it's coming.
Yeah.
And when things like this happen, it's like worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
Because the fanboys from the other side kind of set the standard early. Oh, it's been a year and you guys haven't got a game. When you actually compare PlayStation and Xbox, they're not too far apart.
And don't forget, just wait.
They're releasing.
If Ragnarok comes out this year, it's going to be a shit show on Twitter. I guarantee you it's going to be a shit show.
And what if it gets delayed? I believe it's coming out by October or September. I really believe it will.
I thought that November.
But if in June, they have to announce the release date by June. That's what they usually do. So we have one more month to find out. If June comes and goes and they don't announce God of War Ragnarok and they basically have to say to stay to play later in the summer, that we're shooting for spring of 2023, I would advise all Xbox fans to just go destroy everyone. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just joking. Enjoy it. I really enjoy it that people are so rude. They're so rude, but enjoy it. Just be nice.
But like everyone's talking about this is what Xbox has to do. But what does PlayStation do last year when they pretty much had the entire holiday, there was crickets on their platform? They didn't do anything. They were like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to suck it up, So at the end of the day, go ahead.
It's all whataboutisms when you bring PlayStation into it. But to dispel the whataboutism, every major game for the past 2 years has seen a 1 year or 1 year plus delay because of COVID. And Jez Corden said on his show last week that people don't want to hear it. but it is a COVID situation. I don't even like to say it, but we really are. I mean, these studios barely they're actually not even in person anymore. Like, not even still to this day. Things have been sort of back to normal the past couple of months, but if you go to those studios, I was at Xbox's studios 2 weeks ago. No one there. Like, most of the Microsoft teams that are not working on gaming, they're all working from home. So things are definitely different, and they take longer. It's just how it is.
I honestly feel that to a certain extent,
we got to start wrapping this up. Colteastwood, man, I want to thank you, man. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but when my very first video, man, I mentioned you and Dealer, and I always said how I enjoyed your guys' content. And since then, I'm so happy how you guys have just kind of gone into the stratosphere, man, because if it's two people that deserve success, it's definitely you two guys. And Cole, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule and all your guesting and all that stuff. And you did one more. Like, this is the type of guy this is the type of guy Colt is, man. And I've always prided myself on judgment of character and stuff. I have always said I've got the best friends in the world. And man, Colt's just another one, just kind of digital version that I got to kind of talk to across the world with. Colt,
yeah, I could tell when we first talked that you weren't psychotic and that you're a good guy. So I've always enjoyed talking to you, and we have not been on Party Chat enough. I'll see you on Smite, and I'm like, man, I remember back in the day when we used to talk when he wasn't playing Smite 24/7. But you should hit me up anytime, man. I appreciate it. And of course, your panel. It's good to meet your panel, Wise and Darren. Thank you for having me on. If you guys want to check me out, I'm on Twitter all the time at Colteastwood. I also have a podcast I do on Mondays with Gaz from Game On Daily, which is called the Xbox Newscast. And I will be working on my next weekly video, hopefully soon, about the showcase, because we've done so much talking. I think I'm ready to kind of try to decide how that show is going to run. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, man, thank you, man. We appreciate it. Darren.
Yo.
Let everyone know where they can find you, buddy.
You can find me on Twitter at Draconia67 or on Twitch at DarrenH73. That's it, basically. That's it.
I love his voice, man. I love that accent. one of the reasons why I got him on the show. Love that freaking accent. And last but not least, Wise Old Gamer.
You wanted an accent. You should have told me. I could have given you an accent. You never say you want an accent. I did not know, man.
Where is Merlin the Great today, then?
Oh yeah.
We can't degrade this show with Colt on. And I'm sorry. I want to say this before I wrap up. I want to say thank you to Colt and Dealer and all of them. Colt was the first person who actually responded to my DM when I first got on Twitter. I was a nobody, am still a nobody, and the fact that these guys are so busy that they would go out of their way to actually talk to somebody like me is humbling, to say the least. So thank you for, well, pretty much everything. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Wise Old Gamer with a Z. Apparently there's somebody now mimicking me. I don't know what pathetic life they live, but oh well. Find me on Xbox, PlayStation with a Z, Wise Old Gamer. You can actually also find me not only on this show, but I'm doing a couple of other podcasts. One with both with Doomsayers Network, one on Friday evenings at 5:30 p.m. on YouTube, and one Sundays at 10 a.m. Central. But those have been on a little bit of a hiatus because we're going back and redoing things. We're going to come back stronger in June and July. Colt, if you are free around that time, we would be honored and humbled to have you on one of those shows, preferably the Friday evening show. I know you are a busy man, and it would be totally just a blessing for you to come in and grace us with your presence and wisdom. So, yeah, that's how you can find me. That's all I got.
All right, everyone. We'll be here weekly, Sundays, 5 p.m. Central. My buddy Whiskey Mike always says, everyone uses the other time zones and you use Titan time. So you're the only one that uses it. But hey, we're moving down to Georgia, and I believe they are Eastern time. So we'll see how that goes.
Down to Georgia.
Yep.
How's that sound good?
Awesome.
The devil go down to Georgia.
For a soul to steal.
Exactly.
All right. Everyone, thanks for joining us. Everyone in the chat, Tony Grasso, Silent Cipher. Excellent. Thanks for joining us, buddy. My wife, always supporting everything I do. I really appreciate that. John 907, excellent seeing you, buddy. Thank you. Also, Doggy Dog. Always awesome seeing you, buddy. And everyone else, till next week, let's bring the common back to sense.